El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey is a massive, intimate, prefabricated wooden roller coaster that is widely considered to be the best wooden roller coaster in the world. It is most well known for its insane, sustained ejector airtime, speed, and intensity. So in today's video, I am going to be reviewing this legendary coaster based off of my recent rides back in August. So let's get straight into the review. The first category is the drop, and El Toro has a massive 176-foot drop at a 76-degree angle. This drop is amazing. This is one of my favorite drops, definitely my favorite drop on a wooden coaster. I mean, this already is my favorite wooden coaster, but it's the best drop on a wooden coaster. In the back row on a wheel seat, you are just yanked down that drop. Very sustained and strong airtime pop. I absolutely love this drop. I'm going to be giving a 10. Next, let's talk about the pacing. And El Toro has fantastic pacing from start to finish. There are a few moments where it does kind of slow down, but for the most part, this will haul through its layout. Like, there aren't really any breaks. Now, there is a little bit of roughness on this coaster, and we'll get to that in a different category later on, but that literally adds to the intensity, and we'll also get to that in a later category. But the pacing, it's just relentless. It'll be whipping through all the elements, especially on a hot summer day. Wow, it's crazy. So I am going to be giving a 7 for pacing. Now let's talk about airtime, which is what El Toro is most well known for. El Toro offers pure ejector airtime. Literally after the first drop, you go straight into a massive sweeping camelback, followed by another massive sweeping camelback, and then it's literally just airtime the entire ride. So if you go in the back row on a wheel seat, it's going to be rough, but it's going to be super strong airtime. Whereas if you go second to back in the middle of the 3-row car, it won't be as rough, but the airtime will not be as strong. Now obviously, anywhere on El Toro is going to be insane airtime. Super strong, super fast, literally just launched out of your seat. It is crazy. Some of the strongest airtime on any coaster that I've ever been on. And I love it because it's ejector airtime that is sustained. You don't normally find that. So obviously a 10 for airtime. Now for a coaster to be enjoyable, you need to be comfortable. So we're going to be talking about El Toro's restraints next. And El Toro has U-brick bars. So these are very similar to Superman the Ride's restraints, Six Flags New England, except these ones are thinner, so they're not as painful. Now if you have a good amount of room, at least 2 inches of room, these are not going to bother you. It's unlikely that these restraints are going to bother you, but if you're stapled, it could be painful for you, depending on how tall you are, what your pain tolerance is, etc. But personally, these restraints do not bother me at all. Just like Superman the Ride's restraints at Six Flags New England, these do not bother me. They can be painful at times, depending on if you're stapled, but usually when I ride El Toro, I have at least 3 inches of room, so it will not be painful. You'll be able to get that airtime. And what I like about U-bricks is they actually come down closer to your knees, so you'll actually be more exposed up by your waist, which will allow you to come further up out of your seat during extreme airtime moments, really all airtime moments in general, on El Toro. So they aren't the best restraints, they aren't the best they could be, so I'm going to be giving just a mid 6 for the restraints on El Toro. Now let's talk about the smoothness on El Toro. And El Toro is not a smooth coaster. Now it did just get retracked, not with the intimate prefab. I'm not exactly sure what track they used, to retrack it, but it's not smooth. It's never really going to be smooth unless they do a full retracking using the Intamin prefabricated wooden track. And I heard when it originally opened, it was super smooth, glossy smooth, because it had the Intamin prefabricated track. But now it's much older. It's not super old, but it is old enough for the track to show its age. And while there is new track, that new track is not really smooth, especially the turnaround. At the valley of the turnaround, it is super rough. There's a really bad pothole. But again, if you want to avoid the most of the roughness, sit in the middle of the car. So row 2 in the car, because there's 3 rows in each car. So sit in row 2, and then you shouldn't have a problem. It is still going to be rough, but to avoid most of the roughness, sit in the middle of the car, not on a wheel seat. That's basically the way to go if you don't want it to be a super rough ride. So for smoothness, I'll be giving a 5. And the final category in today's review is intensity. And El Toro is intense. This is a very intense coaster. Does not let up at all. Well, there is one spot where it lets up, which is right after the turnaround. But other than that, this is just flies through the layout. And I know we talked about this in pacing. I just can't get enough of it. The airtime is super intense. Just slams through each of these hills, each of these turns. One of the most intense parts of this coaster is the Rolling Thunder Hill. When you hit the Rolling Thunder Hill, you will absolutely fly through this next section, because you go through, the coaster ends with a bunch of S-bends before you head into the brake run. This is definitely the most intense part of the coaster. You just snap through these elements. It is super insane. I absolutely love it. So for intensity, I will be giving an 8. And for the final score of El Toro, I will be giving a 10. Now, I know it's not perfection in each category, but I just love this coaster so much, it's just going to be a 10. It's so good. Back at Thrillathon in the beginning of August, I got my best rides on this coaster that I've ever gotten. Night rides, ERT, so I got to stay on the train. Well, the ERT was in the morning, but it was dead at the end of the day, so I got to stay on El Toro like 10 times in the morning. The same with the night. The night rides on this thing are insane. It was just flying at night. I love this coaster so much. I am obsessed with El Toro. Now, before this year, I was not super impressed with El Toro because, one, my roughness tolerance was not as high as it is today, so I really didn't enjoy this coaster, especially this section here, the S-bends. It was just so rough. By this point, I had a headache. I don't get headaches on El Toro anymore. Just the amount of room I had, the amount of airtime this coaster delivers, it is amazing. Six Flags Great Adventure has an absolute masterpiece on their hands, and I love it. So thank you guys for watching today's roller coaster review. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe to Coaster Brothers. If you are watching this video, you most likely love roller coasters, like roller coasters, or are trying to overcome your fear of coasters. Either way, if you're watching this, you're interested in coasters. So another reason to subscribe to the channel, because I love roller coasters, and the whole Coaster Brothers crew loves roller coasters. We just all love roller coasters. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, guys, stay on the thrill side of life.